right, so welcome back to the channel, brothers and sisters. So, first and foremost, let me just say, once again, I'm going to say this every video, man. I thank you guys for the support. I thank you guys who have subscribed to my channel already. I just ask that you spread the word about my channel so we can help it grow. I'm going to get right into it today. The player that I'm covering, his name is Hakeem Olajuwon, if you guys can already tell by the highlights on the screen. And he's one of my all-time favorite players, so that's who we're going to be covering. So let's dive right in. All right, so for those of you who don't know already, Hakeem Olajuwon was born in 1963, and he was born in a place called Lagos, Nigeria. And if I pronounced that incorrectly, somebody please correct me on that. So his initial sport that he played was soccer, not basketball. He didn't actually pick up a basketball until he was 15 years old. But playing the sport of soccer, that's what helped him develop such extremely good footwork, which he was able to utilize on the basketball court. And once he did pick up a basketball, he became really good at it really fast. That became the sport he was dedicated to. And he started to garner a lot of attention playing in the league he was in. An opposing coach actually was pretty much amazed by what he saw in Hakeem, and he told Hakeem one time that, you should actually go play in the United States when you go to college. But of course, Hakeem at the time, he wasn't connected to anybody in the United States, so that coach actually connected him to Guy Lewis, who was the coach of at the time was the coach of the University of Houston Cougars, which is where Hakeem ended up playing college ball at. He played there for 3 seasons. His first year there, he didn't get really much playing time. He was redshirted. So he actually did take the time to pretty much learn a lot from the Houston Rockets center at the time, Moses Malone. He learned a lot by playing under him and being instructed by him. His first season there, his team did make it to the Final Four, and they lost to the North Carolina Tar Heels, led by Michael Jordan and James Worthy. And his next season, he started to get more playing time, and they actually were able to get to the championship game, and they were actually upset by NC State, North Carolina State, that year. And then his last season there, which was his best season, if I'm not mistaken, he did lead the entire nation in rebounding and also block shots and field goal percentage too. They made it to the championship game again, and they lost to Georgetown, which was led by Patrick Ewing. So even though they did lose, though, he was still named the most outstanding player of the Final Four because of how great he performed. And then after that, after his third season, he declared from the NBA draft. And this would be the 84-85 draft. He was selected number 1 overall, and that was the same draft that Michael Jordan was selected in as well. He was selected number 1 overall by the Houston Rockets. And he was able to have an immediate impact as a rookie. The 2 seasons before he came there, they had back-to-back seasons missing the playoffs. They won 29 games before he got there. His first season there, they won 48 games. So they had a pretty big improvement, and they qualified for the playoffs. And his second season, they actually made it all the way to the NBA Finals, which was surprising. They pulled off a big upset against the Los Angeles Lakers in the conference finals with Magic, Kareem, James Worthy. They were able to upset them. And of course, for those of you who don't already know, the Lakers, they were really the powerhouse team in the 80s, man. I mean, they almost made the finals every year coming out the West. So that was an upset, and of course that was Hakeem's second season. So that's how fast he was able to turn that team around and help to try to put them in a position to really be a title contender. Of course, when they got to the finals, they squared off against the Boston Celtics, led by Larry Bird and Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, Bill Walton. That team had 5 Hall of Famers. That 86 Celtics team, that's one of the greatest teams in NBA history. And they beat Houston. They beat Hakeem and the Houston Rockets in 6 games. And after that, the Rockets started to tail off a bit. They made it to the semifinals the next season, and then they had about 4 or 5 straight seasons where they kept getting bounced out the first round. So, they were struggling a bit to get the right parts around Hakeem to really be a consistent title threat each year. In the 92 season, fast forward to the 92 season, they actually missed the playoffs altogether. And after that, they made a major coaching change. They brought in Rudy Tomjanovich, and he was able to, lift them up. They were able to get back to the playoffs that year. In the 93 season, Hakeem won Defensive Player of the Year, He was second in the MVP voting that year behind Charles Barkley. And then the next season, so after the 93 season, that's when Michael Jordan retired. So basically the league was up for grabs who was going to be the next player to really step up and take over the league. And that would be Hakeem Olajuwon. In the next season, which would be the 93 through 94 season, he won the MVP and he won the Defensive Player of the Year award in the same season. He was the second player to do that. Michael Jordan was the first, and of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo has done that since. He did that last year. But that's an incredible feat to be recognized for being the most impactful player pretty much on both ends of the floor. And he became the first player to have over 200 steals and 200 blocks in the same season. Now, the blocks is not really unheard of for a center, but to have 200 steals as a center, Hakeem Olajuwon is top 10 all-time in steals at center. All right, and I'm just saying it like that because, that's not what centers are known to do, to get steals. That's how impactful he was on the defensive end. And he was able to lead his team to the finals that year. They defeated Patrick Ewing in the finals, Patrick Ewing and the Knicks, that is, which was kind of like a revenge for Hakeem because he lost to Patrick Ewing and when he was in college, he lost to his college team, which was Georgetown. They were able to defeat them in 7 games, and of course he was the MVP of the finals. And a lot of people don't know this also, that in the 94 playoffs, Hakeem Olajuwon led his team in every single stat category: points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks throughout the entirety of the playoffs, not just the finals. Throughout the entirety of the playoffs, Hakeem Olajuwon did that. That was one of the greatest individual seasons in NBA history, if not the greatest, for what he was able to accomplish and how he was able to really carry his team. He was the only all-star on his team that year. So that's how great of a season he had that year. And then to follow it up the next season, this is 94 going into 95 now, the Rockets, they actually started to struggle a little bit again. They were still a playoff team, and they were actually able to acquire Clyde Drexler that season to assist them. He came about midway through the season, and ironically, Clyde Drexler, if I actually didn't mention this earlier, he played in college with Hakeem Olajuwon for Houston, and then he ended up teaming up with him again in Houston in the NBA. So he was able to help uplift them towards the end of the year, and then the playoffs came around, and they were the 6th seed. They made it to the finals as the 6th seed. Hakeem was dominant in these playoffs, man. Truly, truly dominant, man. David Robinson for the San Antonio Spurs was the MVP that season, and he completely, he pretty much just completely embarrassed him in the conference finals that year. He just took him to school, and then they squared off against the Orlando Magic in the finals. They had Shaq on that team, a young Shaq with Penny Hardaway, and they were able to sweep them, and he outplayed Shaq. Of course, like I said, Shaq was younger. Hakeem pretty much took him to school also. Hakeem was a dominant center, man, in the era of dominant centers. Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Shaq. He was better than all of them, and they were able to win back-to-back championships, and he was back-to-back finals MVP, and he helped Clyde Drexler get his first ring. And of course, Clyde Drexler helped him as well. So, and after that, they didn't win a championship again. They tried to really take it to the next level when they brought in Charles Barkley. That was in the 97 season to form a big three. But by that time, they were starting to show signs of age, and they never were able to get over the hump again. And by the 98 season going forward, he started to miss a lot of time year in and year out due to just various injuries that he was having. And by the 02 season, he officially retired. His last season in 02, he played 1 year with the Toronto Raptors, and then he was done for good. But altogether, Hakeem Olajuwon, in my opinion, he is a top 10 player all time. He's top 15 in points scored in NBA history, top 15 in rebounds. He's top 10 in steals, as I stated before, which is an amazing feat for a center, an amazing feat. And also number 1 all time in career blocks. He was a 12-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA defensive team member, 4 times on the first team, 5 times on the second team. Truly, truly dynamic, versatile all-time player. Most skilled center in NBA history. I hope you guys learned a lot today, and I appreciate all the support. Thank you again. All right, man. So once again, it's your boy Mark. I thank you guys again for those who have subscribed to my channel, and I appreciate all the love and support thus far. I just want to say, if there's any questions you guys have about certain players that I've covered, if there's any topics you guys want me to cover, as I said before, any more requests, I got a list of the players that, people have sent me already. I'm going to get around to them, most definitely. Like I said, I just had a list of players on my own already that I wanted to cover. And, of course, once I get past doing historical great players, we'll start, doing other topics like player comparisons, future predictions, things like that. But, yeah, I just want to say thank you guys again. I really hope you enjoyed this last video. Follow me on Instagram, trademark 5_. And let people know about my channel, man. And everybody have a blessed day.